What I liked most about doing TV and sessions in LA was the fact that every day is something different. Different artists, different music, different sounds, different styles. Everything was, the players all had to be able to play in almost any genre and play convincingly in that genre. And that's really exciting. It keeps you on your toes, and it's a little scary because you never know what's coming tomorrow, but it's a lot of fun. Well, the thing about Greatest Hits on Earth live is that this is the perfect combination of both disciplines, of studio variety and live discipline, because we have multiple artists and a wide variety of artists, so I have to know all of their records really well, all of their parts, keyboard parts really well, and try to get as close as possible to the original recorded performance and deliver that every time we do a gig in different places, sometimes with different equipment, which can be very challenging, and much different styles from one artist to the other. I find it the perfect blend of variety and reliability at the same time. And we hope you love it too. And then going out on tour with Phil and with Supertramp and other bands that I did tour with, that's playing the same music every night, the same way every night. And that's sort of more like playing in a Broadway show than it is playing in a studio, because you have to reach a level of consistency every single night. Sorry. And everything had to be just so. And my job was to play his music in his style, his way, which was as much of a challenge as doing the TV and studio stuff, but a much different kind of emphasis, and equally as fun to succeed and get it right for 140 shows, you know, with no equipment crashes, and you're really hired to be reliable. And in the studio, you're hired to be versatile and reliable, but more versatile. Getting into the studio work in LA started with me in the 80s doing demos for people. And at the time, the keyboard player was really the dominant character in the band, because everything was becoming very electronic during that decade, and keyboardists had to have lots and lots of keyboards and lots of sounds, and the technology was still evolving, and it was a big constant chasing of your own tail almost, trying to keep up with everything. But doing demos with different songwriters and singers, and in LA it works as a matter of word of mouth and recommendations, and you do a track with somebody, a writer, and that writer might get a cut, and then the writer might recommend me to be on the actual record of the song, and then you impress the producers, and after impressing the producers, they might be more inclined to hire you repeatedly. So it's an evolution kind of cycle where you start with the writers and not do real records, and ultimately, if you do your job well, you get into the record game that way. One of my favorites that I ever recorded with was Johnny Mathis back in 1988. One of the really wonderful people in the business. An absolutely wonderful man, very friendly, very musical. And I must say that when he was doing his vocals on this record, every single note that he put on tape was a keeper. There was never a bad track, and I learned at a pretty young age that these guys are hugely successful for that very reason, that they deliver the goods every single time. Michael Bolton was another artist that was the same way. He was a lot of fun to work with. Let's see. Oh, I did a couple of songs with Natalie Cole, with the big band in Capitol Records, which was really kind of a dream come true. That was really fun. Most of the people I've worked with have been really fine people. You know, a lot of these horror stories you hear about artists are not really true, not very often. The better the artist and the more secure the artist, the more pleasurable the experience is in the studio. And I've found that I've been really lucky, and most of the people I've worked with have been just really good people.